Hello chess friends and welcome to Zarov's chess channel and welcome to the FIDE Online Willhelm Steinitz Memorial in 2020. So this I think is really a great tournament. It's a blitz tournament, 3+2 is the tempo, and we have this double round robin system with 10 players participating, among them also Magnus Carlsen, the world champion. The good thing is also that Shakhriyar Mamedyarov is back. I haven't seen now playing in a while, and also Alexander Grischuk, for instance, is playing. So we can expect really some great tactical battles. So today I wanted to show you the game between Magnus Carlsen and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. It was played in this London system, and I think this is a very instructive game, although it was in the blitz format. But I think now many beginners who are starting to play chess are using maybe this London system very often, so I think this will be a very instructive chess game in which Magnus Carlsen really applied the main ideas, strategical ideas and tactical ideas in the London system. So it's really a perfect attack. So let's check out the game. d4 played by Magnus. We have d5, bishop to f4, the accelerated London system setup. Knight to f6, e3, e6 by Mamedyarov, knight to f3, and now we have bishop to d6. So we can already talk so many things about this position already. The problem for black in the London system is that basically white has a great activity with both of these bishops. So and when we evaluate this position from this center squares and the central pawn structure, it's a static center. So it means this bishop, this light square bishop, is always a little bit blocked out by its own pawn on d5. So black would love to give up maybe somehow this bishop for this bishop, as white's idea is always to play bishop to d3, maybe knight to e5, after bishop takes e5, d takes e5, then maybe deflect the knight somewhere from the defense and maybe get the queen somehow in the attack, and combined with the bishop attack the h7 pawn. So these are maybe the main strategical elements of this particular opening. Most of these games are not played in this particular move order, but as a main idea you'll see how Magnus Carlsen will apply this. So one of the main ideas for black to defend from this London system is simply to trade off these bishops, but still, although this move bishop to d6 is often played, I still don't like it, because you're giving up basically your only bishop that has some kind of a decent activity. So I think bishop to e7, maybe b6 with bishop to a6 is sort of an idea which could be playable for black. In the game, Magnus tried knight to d2. If you take, for instance, this bishop on f4 immediately, then we can play simply e takes f4 and still continue with our main idea. Black castles, we play bishop to d3, and still we would have this very powerful square on e5 where we can cement our knight and still maybe play queen to f3, queen to h3, sneak in with the queen and try to deflect this knight from the defense of this h7 pawn. So that's why Mamedyarov didn't take the bishop on f4. He is keeping the tension a little bit now in the center. He castled, and Magnus played the normal move c3. The idea always in the London system is to create really this blocking system, keeping the position compact, because now we simply rely on our bishop's activity. In the game, b6 played by Mamedyarov, and now Magnus plays knight to e5. The main progressive idea is, of course, if black takes, then d takes e5, as I said, deflecting the knight, and then bishop to d3 combined with queen to h5 are creating, of course, dangerous threats in front of black's king. So in the game c5, Mamedyarov has to challenge now white's center, because white has here built really blocking system here with his three pawns. We have to open the position somehow, and Magnus played now the move bishop to d3 and Mamedyarov bishop to b7. As I said, I simply like more this idea maybe to play immediately bishop to a6, getting rid of this annoying bishop. This bishop will cause so many troubles now in the continuation of the game for Shakhriyar Mamedyarov. As I'm pointing out, this h7 target is our main target from white's perspective. As I said, bishop to a6, maybe here bishop takes a6, knight takes a6. Okay, white would have maybe here a tempo on the knight, but knight to c7, and still at least we got rid of this very annoying bishop. But in the game, bishop to b7 played, and now Magnus uses this moment immediately and plays the move h4. So he can do that because the problem is for black that white can stay with the king in the center much more longer, as the position in the center is really closed and compact. Nothing can happen. Basically, the only file through which you could make some kind of progress is the C file. For instance, if we take the C takes d4, but still white can play e takes d4, doesn't need to play with the c pawn, so still the c file would be closed. So it's very hard here really for black to find some counterplay possibilities in the game. Knight to c6, a normal developing move by Mamedyarov, and now we have queen to f3. You see how Magnus gets the queen into the game. We have rook to c8 and now h5. So the idea behind this move is really to force black to weaken the pawn structure in the front of the king. If, for instance, g6 or h6 are happening, so still it's even much more further weakening the pawn structure in front of the king. It's weakening the king further. And with this bishop's activity, with this bishop aiming, and also the bishop on f4, it's really a problem. In the game, Mamedyarov tried the move h6, and it allows now Magnus Carlsen to play queen to g3 immediately, threatening here this bishop to h6 idea. In the game, Mamedyarov tried knight to e8, tried to defend, and now we have bishop takes h6 anyway by Magnus, and we have c takes d4, we have bishop takes g7. All these moves are really now forced. After knight takes g7, Magnus plays of course h6, and Mamedyarov defends with queen to f6. It seems now that maybe the attack is a little bit splashed, but Magnus simply continues, of course. H takes g7, Mamedyarov has to take, queen takes g7, and now bishop to h7. Attacking the king, the queen cannot take, that's the problem. Here we have king to h8, and now knight to f7 by Magnus Carlsen. Great attacking move here, which Magnus found in a really fast time format. Knight to f7. The problem is that your queen is hanging, but of course this knight takes f7 comes with a check, so you have to take with the rook, and now Magnus played bishop to g6, the king has only one square, king to g8, and now first a check, bishop takes f7, king takes f7, and now queen takes d6. So great calculations by Magnus Carlsen. He got all this tactical mess now with up the exchange. He has the rook for the minor piece. Great attack. Everything well prepared and well calculated. In the game, d takes c3 played by Mamedyarov, d takes c3. If you take, for instance, queen takes c3, then you risk always a check here, and you lose the bishop, so the queen has to stay and defend the king. So that's why here knight to e5 was played by Mamedyarov, and Magnus now finally castled, uses this moment to secure the king, and in the game we have d4. So it seems now that maybe this attack went wrong, because Magnus Carlsen has some troubles. Now this g2 is attacked, and still Shakhriyar Mamedyarov can maybe open somehow the position for the rook, and maybe try even some checkmates on the h file, but still Mamedyarov's king is also in danger, so you have to be careful. In the game, Magnus has to play this move f3. In the game, d takes e3 was played, and now knight to e4. And here Mamedyarov plays, I think, his mistake, which again allows Magnus Carlsen to counterplay somehow. He plays the move e2, which seems like an aggressive move, which seems like a forcing move, but maybe it's time really to get this rook somehow into the game with the move rook to rook to g8. You have to do something. You have to counterplay. In the game, as I said, he played the move e2, which allows now Magnus Carlsen to play the move rook to f2, which helps him basically, as now rook to g8 doesn't work, and the rook is defending, of course, this g2 pawn. So in the game, Mamedyarov saw his mistake, and he is trying now to regroup with king to g8, but now Magnus simply takes, queen takes e6, and we have king to h8, we have queen to h3, again another check, and after king to g8 we have rook takes e2. Finally we got rid of this annoying pawn on e2, and basically this is game over if Magnus doesn't play a huge blunder. This is of course completely winning endgame here for white. So in the game, rook to f8, we have queen to e6, attacking the king, king to h8, and now this knight comes very actively into the game with the discovered attack on the knight on e5, and we have knight takes f3, we have knight takes f3, bishop takes f3, but now rook to f2, everything is good protected here. We have queen to c3, not a problem, as Magnus has here regrouping move rook to f1, and in this position Mamedyarov resigned. Whatever you do, you have to move the bishop and you lose the rook and eventually the game. So great attack by the world champion in this London system. Really nice preparation, nice activating pieces, nice tactics with this knight to f7 idea. Great games. After the first day, Magnus Carlsen is in the lead with 4 points, so again I think no one can catch up with him. He will probably win another tournament, which is not something that should surprise us. But okay, we'll see what will happen in the next couple of days. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games from some other tournaments that have been played so far. And you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.